Hi, this is the podcast Open Minded. My name is Roberto,
My name is Alejandro.
And my name's Eric.
and today we're going to talk about animal population.
So, we've seen various cases how in Florida there's been that iguana problem where iguanas, being an invasive species, caused a have caused many effects on the state of Florida, and we've seen in India how the this control of population of elephants has caused elephants to roam into people's houses and trample over people, destroy their houses, and including leopards attacking families. So
Yeah, and I know like in India, what they're doing to control like the elephants from coming into their properties is that they'll plant like peppers. I'm not sure what exactly it is, probably habanero. They'll plant them, and then like the elephants will go in there thinking that they're gonna get food, and of course they'll eat the plants. And since elephants don't like spicy food, they'll like, let's say in a way, like get traumatized from eating something that spicy.
In a case there was a video released in TED Talks where a woman talked about that situation and how now they began to use beehives, African beehives, because that doesn't really work anymore, and electric fences don't work anymore either, because the elephant could just walk over the fence, or they could just walk through. It's not as painful as it would seem to us, but yeah, they've learned to, well, apparently that poison that's in the African bee sting, it gets registered in the brain, and that's when they begin to notice that, oh, like if I walk into this house, I'm gonna get stung by a bunch of bees, and I'm not gonna enjoy the feeling. So I should just find another place where I could find food. So, but there's also that problem that the overpopulation in India of people, like, because people are beginning to move their houses into areas dominated by wild animals like elephants, leopards, tigers. So that's why the incidence of attacks by wild animals have risen in the most recent years, for that reason that they've needed to relocate to different areas.
Yeah, it's like, well, they're pushing like the boundaries more and more. So like, let's say like the animals they won't have as much land to roam about and like find their food and also. So of course, since they don't have food in the land that they have available, of course they're gonna come into like villages or towns and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, because they're running out of space, and they don't know where else to stay, and then people are already trespassing into their territory, and so yeah. What do you think?
Well, I see that right now India is still a developing country, and it has a lot of ecosystems that haven't been touched by humans, and they're just making more residential areas, making cities bigger. They're expanding on wildlife territory, and I see that. I mean, once they build a city where a bunch of leopards live, those leopards aren't gonna have anywhere to go, and some of them wander into the cities.
Or they wander into like other animals' territory too, which is not a good thing, too, because of course, like let's say they start going into like the predator areas or yeah, their territory, of course, they're going to be hunted there. And where is the only place where they could run away to? If they find that the city might be safer, because of course, the city is safer for us, or a village is safer for us, that means that it'll be safer for them to run away from those prey, from that prey,
From the predator.
from the predator.
But there's, well, either way, it's a normal cycle. That's why you see a lot of animals immigrating into different areas, especially when there's a scarcity of food, um, or of course, predators begin to immigrate into their territories, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
but
since,
in many cases, it's just part of the cycle.
mm-hmm.
But the thing is that, yeah, there's also there's also that problem that it's not just animals populating; it's also the humans
Mm-hmm.
that are overpopulating. And well,
Yeah.
India is one of the, I think, what's the country with the most population, right?
Yeah,
Or one of them. One
I
of the
think it
countries.
is.
Yeah, it's a lot. India has a lot of people.
I'm not sure the exact population, but yeah, like I think right now they're going into a I don't know, like a revolution. Not revolution, but their economy and everything is booming. So of course they want to expand, because if you have more money to like create more things, you're gonna need more land to do that. Like they say, you need more land and resources. So where could you get that from? You get them from, I don't know. Let's say pushing away animals from this area that is rich in this certain thing or material or land that you need in order to um, grow or develop your product.
Well, I know they're big on palm oil, so they cut down a lot of trees from where orangutans live. The orangutans die because they don't have anywhere to live because all the trees got cut down.
Yeah, and then they're intelligent animals, so like they need their land. They need like yeah, like I don't know. They I'm pretty sure they might associate themselves to their land because they've been living there for so long, and then all of a sudden to
Well, also
move
you
away.
have to take into consideration, since they're animals that live on trees. If they're going on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna walk into leopards,
Mm-hmm.
predators that roam around the land.
And then they
So
don't have anywhere
that's
to
why
hide too.
that's why, like, I don't know, like, have you seen many videos where like you see all these monkeys and different species of monkeys, they're roaming on the trees most of the time
Mm-hmm.
because there's they're predators. Most of them, they're just roaming around in the ground. There's some, of course, like leopards that could easily climb up a tree and um, kill the animal, but that's where they are the most safe. So
Mm-hmm.
in another way, you're gonna cause their population to decrease in numbers if you're destroying their territory, their natural habitat. So
Well, so orangutans aren't really made to survive on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
that's why, like, there's some monkeys that it's pretty interesting how they I don't remember exactly what the species is, but it's this very small species of monkeys, and they basically live most of the time off of the tree. And when they see a predator on the ground roaming around, and I guess about to attack another monkey from their family, or just another monkey from a different species, they begin to communicate. And monkeys from different species that are around, they have this way of communicating that all of them understand. So when for example leopard is on the ground, they begin to holler, and all the other species of monkeys could understand. They could interpret it, and what they do is that they go in big numbers on the ground, and they confront the leopard or the tiger, and they scare it away. So
I think you might be talking about like the howler monkey. Like the howler monkeys are the black monkeys that like sort of have like a I don't know like a big mouth.
Well, I'm not sure. I don't think it was that one. It was no. They just the way they communicate. I'm not saying them howling out loud. Is just the way they communicate. It was I don't remember exactly what species it was, but it wasn't. It wasn't a howler monkey.
Well, I know that there's also another species of monkey. I know that's from Asia, and they work with deers, and basically once they see a tiger coming, they scream and warn the deer that the tiger's coming.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like a cross species communication sort of thing.
Yeah, and then
They work with each other.
They both work with each other to stay safe.
Okay, so like talking about animals, about elephants, what people don't also understand is that yeah, like it's controlling the population, but it depends on up to what extent. Because for example, elephants, they play a you would consider them a keystone species, right?
Yeah.
Where like basically the animal, it's very important, and if it'll somehow get removed from the food chain, it'll cause a big change, and it would ultimately cause a big effect affecting the other animals in the food chain. So what it does is that it breaks down trees, it drops the trees, and them dropping the trees down, it causes more vegetation to happen. So basically more trees are able to get planted, because if you have a tree, there's many seeds on the branches. So
yeah, there's no animals.
So
to, like,
that causes more a growth in biodiversity, and ultimately more critters that are herbivores. They're gonna have food. They're gonna have more food to eat. So the problem is that if you kill off a lot of elephants, it's gonna cause that effect. Where how are all these other animals that don't have a big body, or they're not tall or long, how are they gonna reach the food?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's all. There's a lot of examples like how keystone species, if suddenly there's a big growth in their numbers, or there's a big decline in their population, like it really affects the other animals a lot. Like, for example, like if you're in a forest and you have rabbits, snakes, and eagles. If there's a big growth in the population of rabbits, they're gonna eat all the vegetation.
Mm-hmm. And then if there's no eagles, now that there's more rabbits, that means more food for the eagles too. So
And snakes.
there'll be a boom in like the eagle population too.
Well, like going into that, like I don't know if you guys heard about the situation that happened a while back in Yellowstone, how basically more people were moving into Yellowstone, and they began to build their houses, and it got to the point where they were building too many communities, and they slowly began to get closer and closer to the territory of wolves and deers, and there was many cases when wolves roamed into their neighborhood and began to kill their dogs, and maybe a couple of times attacked humans. So what they did is that they began to kill off the population of wolves, and after they completely eradicated the wolf population, or caused the remaining numbers to immigrate into another territory, the biodiversity began to decrease, because the deers began to overpopulate because they didn't have that predator, that apex predator to control their population. So yeah, vegetation began to die off, and that soon began to affect the community, where basically deers, instead of wolves roaming into their community, it would be deers, because there wasn't any other way to control their population. So what they soon did is that they reintroduced wolves, and just in a controlled manner. So they were also regulating that they didn't roam into the people's community. And after maybe a couple of months, or I think it was just like a couple of months or maybe a year, the biodiversity began to increase again. It began to grow, and the deer population was controlled. It didn't return to the same state it was. So,
well, also back then people had like this negative picture painted in their heads that they were dangerous animals and they needed to be exterminated.
Probably because of lack of information.
Yeah, then they're killed, and then they're pushed back to other territories, and they left that area of Yellowstone, and then you see like a big boom in the growth of deer population, because it doesn't have any predator to control it.
Yeah, they didn't have no predator, and there was a bunch of plants, a bunch of biodiversity for them to eat. So,
and then that's where it comes in, like hunting. A lot of people have like a bad image of it, but we can use that as a population control too. If we don't have, like, let's say a predator in that certain area, or we want to control that population right away. I'm like, of course, hunting is let's say like a viable way of controlling that species too.
It doesn't also just like, there's many other implications tied to animal populations, such as spread of diseases, obviously overpopulation, where the population, just animals begin to roam into the city, roam into communities, and when that happens, that's when they end up walking into freeways and getting run over, and it's a lot of money to clean that up, and it's gonna cause ultimately cause a bunch of traffic, and it's a lot of tax dollars that go into cleaning up that the remains of the animals. So,
and then I'm pretty sure you guys have seen those videos of deers like breaking through glass and going through properties, or if not, like, I think there was this video that we saw. It was about a deer that jumped into a salon.
Yeah, salon.
A salon, and like pretty much everybody's like freaking out. I was, of course, there's a point to it, because like, not like we don't have wolves, or there wasn't a, like, let's say like a hunting like rule or club or something. I'm not sure what exactly, like, how exactly you go about hunting, but there's nobody hunting them down too.
Well, like, talking about like effects they cause, it's like spreading Lyme disease. We know Lyme disease, it's spread by a tick that lives off of the deer, right? And but the effects are like, basically, one of the effects, it when the tick bites you, you can't eat meat anymore, right?
Yeah, it's the Lone Star tick thing.
Yeah,
it's like the East Coast.
And then you also have the most recent fear of deers possibly spreading chronic waste disease, which it's pretty self-explanatory, but like, basically it's a long-term being chronic, where it's a long-term effect where just your body just completely wastes away, and it's like, it's caused by prions. So like at the moment, microbiologists don't really have like a vaccine or a way to kill off the prions. But the good thing is that at the moment, it hasn't been transmitted to humans. So, yeah, there's not that fear that, oh, like, what if it's possible because it's been spreading and it's been affecting a big portion of the deer population in many other states in the U.S. But yeah, the fear is that, like, at the moment, like, they don't know a way to kill off the prions that is found in the deer with chronic wasting disease. So yeah, you have that factor that spreading this controlling the animal population, it slows down the proliferation of viruses and bacteria that would be harmful to other creatures and ultimately humans. So
yeah, and there's a lot of good things that come from animal control and hunting. Like in Texas, there's been this problem of that there's a massive population of wild boar, and they're going into a lot of properties and also destroying a lot of habitats of other animals.
Yeah, and then like if you see pigs will like eat
Anything.
a lot of things or anything.
Well, I've also heard that, like, well, pigs don't have that self control that other animals have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard that that apparently that farmers, one of the main causes of them dying, it's them falling into a pig farm and them getting eaten by pigs. So
yeah, it's been a big problem in Texas, and they've even made a lot of programs that tourists participate in where they go on helicopters and they shoot them down from there.
Mm-hmm.
But is there like
it's gotten like that bad?
But it is would those pigs, is there like information on them being carriers of diseases or viruses? So.
From what I know, no, but they've had a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
They like.
So what they've been one of the effects is them roaming into the city, and well they're wild boars, aren't they?
Yeah, so
they're obviously they're attacking other people, and but like is there a decline in the biodiversity?
Well, yeah, they're destroying the habitats of other animals, and
since they'll eat almost anything.
Yeah, they eat those animals too. So it could be like rabbits.
And then
deer.
I know I've heard that supposedly pigs are smarter than dogs too. So
yeah, they're very intelligent animal.
Mm-hmm. So of course it'll be much harder.
Well, they have big litters, don't they? They populate in big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another problem. But also, I don't know if you heard about the whole situation of iguanas in Florida. How like it's been criticized a lot too, because you see videos of people just shooting down iguanas, and in many cases people just they torture the iguanas. It gets out of control how they're treating the iguanas, and that's causing a lot of outrage by the people. But the thing is that, like, what iguanas are doing in Florida, since Florida it's a state formed by people. It's just a lot of sediments and sand. They just make a land out of that. And the thing is that if you have a bunch of iguanas, they're digging under the ground, they're tunneling under the ground, and we all know that Florida it has that problem of
like
constant sinkholes, like frequent sinkholes. So what's happening is that the incidence of sinkholes, it's increasing a lot more. So that's damaging a lot of property, and most likely causing death, because I mean, a sinkhole could happen at whatever time. You could be sleeping, and out of nowhere you wake up and your house is underground, or like your bed is underground, or maybe you don't wake up because the sinkhole killed you. So, and I mean, you have the damages caused to freeways, roads, just other structures around Florida. So
yeah, it's like over here, or like it's not really a big problem, but it's like what we have over here is groundhogs and stuff in California. Like it's not a really big problem, but like a lot of groundhogs tend to, of course, dig into the dirt and all that stuff.
But the thing is, I mean, groundhogs, it's a natural creature. It's not considered an invasive species.
Yeah,
Iguanas, it's an invasive species. Invasive species being basically, it's a creature that doesn't have a natural predator.
No, naturally it's not from there.
Yeah, that's why I don't know if you've also seen in Florida how there's some giant pythons eating crocodiles. Like that's not supposed to happen.
Well, the thing about all those animals, the iguanas and the pythons, they're common pets, and some people just they don't want them, or they get frustrated with them and can't take care of them, so they just let them onto the wild. And those animals aren't supposed to be there. Like
yeah, and their litters, like they have big litters. They have they produce in large numbers. So I mean, especially iguanas.
And then the Burmese python, they're really strong creatures, and they don't have any natural predators in Florida.
So there's nothing to kill them.
I know, and they're eating.
Well, it's not like. Well, their natural predators would be like a hawk or an eagle and other species of eagles, right? That would kill the python.
Maybe, but
that's not. It's not. Those type of creatures aren't common in Florida.
And it's like the ideal habitat for them, 'cause it's warm, it's wet.
It's ideal, but not ideal for the other animals or humans there.
So yeah, like there's been that situation, but yeah, it's just it's received a lot of criticism, in my opinion, for the reason that like people are sharing so many videos, and like you don't just see them hunt the animal. You see people torturing the iguana, torturing the iguana live, lighting the iguana on fire, and just like getting the iguana and like tossing them across. It's like it just gets out of control, and that's why also like hunters also get criticized, because sometimes there's some that like take pictures on top of the animal and like they just post it everywhere and they share it online.
But then I'm pretty sure they went through like the proper like way to actually do
it. Yeah.
Of course, there's
stuff. There's some people that just get out of control and they just share the image everywhere.
I know, but then of course, if let's say if I take down an animal, of course I'm going to be proud of it. I want to share it.
Yeah, but
it's just that if you don't like, let's say, share the proper information of how you did it, of course other people are gonna be like, oh, you're just killing because you want to.
But yeah, the thing is also you have to take in consideration that there's also, I mean, people online that are gonna see that, and I mean it's all different. I'm not saying that everyone who posts pictures of them with an animal they hunted, I'm not saying that all of them just share it just to receive backlash or drive people crazy. It's just there's in many cases where they do that, or like there's also cases where people kill animals that they're not supposed to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like I seen a couple of pictures when people have killed a big family of monkeys and they share the image. So
Yeah, it's just
Also, a lot of the media has a lot of fault and a lot of the spread of misinformation.
well, but yeah, well, it's more like once it's shared online that happens. It's not. I mean,
Mhm.
once it gets to a certain extreme, when it gets so much attention, that's when it's published on media and it's shared online. Because if it's just a normal picture and it's not getting much attention,
so you're saying that
news
like,
channels they're just gonna let it be, and they're not gonna share it or talk about it on their channel.
so you're saying that some people might share pictures like that just to get attention.
Yeah, there's some people that do it in that way. But
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's all of them, but like if you're taking pictures of, or like if you're killing animals you're not supposed to kill, and you share it online.
oh yeah, of course that.
Yeah.
Like of course that like that's bad, but like there's like I know, not that I know, but yeah, like that should get attention, and then like of course like there's those people that don't really know but they act like they know, and of course they'll go there and spread bad information or just go there just to I don't know, like just to get that person mad. And then of course like if like let's say like if the proper people go on there and like actually talk about him like hey like you should have not done that to that animal, it's endangered or this or that. Like I know there's this YouTube channel that I see where there's this guy that goes around and eats like exotic food or just food that people normally won't eat.
Those are different
But
countries.
yeah, in all different countries around the world. But he's always talking about like this species is endangered. I know it's endangered. I know I could eat it from this restaurant, but I'm not. And like he spreads information about it too. So yeah, like of course that's a good thing. And then like and of course like there's like some animals that people won't normally eat, and then like if they see somebody, I don't know, like let's say somebody popular or somebody well known like eating something like that, and if it's an invasive species, of course people will be more tempted to eat that. And if now there's more people eating that certain animal, there's gonna be more of an incentive to actually go and kill that animal or make recipes like based on that animal.
Well, in Louisiana, they have this big problem with this type of rodent called the nutria rat, and it basically lives in like the wetlands of Louisiana, and currently like their population is in the millions, and they destroy the vegetation in the wetlands. And there's this chef that's trying to like
Mm-hmm.
bring attention to this animal, and he's trying to convince people to possibly eat the animal, because it's also an invasive species, so you're not doing any harm by eating the animal.
Yeah, and then I think this animal sort of looks like a beaver cross with I don't know, like a cat. Not really a cat, but like a fat, muscular cat.
Well, it's like, it's basically almost like a beaver. It just has like a skinny tail like a rat.
So what this animal's doing is basically it's affecting the marine life, right? Or
Not really marine life, but yeah, a lot of the populations of other animals like alligators, they're dropping, cause
They're taking up way more land.
yeah, so it's in the millions, and Louisiana isn't an enormous state either. So.
And I'm pretty sure it doesn't have that much land too, because it's like a swampy place, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot. It's like wetlands. I'm not sure exactly, but there's a lot of like rivers, lakes, and stuff like that in there. So there's not that much land, and since they're taking up a lot of the land, like of course there's gonna be less and less crocodiles or ducks or whatever there is there. And like yeah, like what I told you, like what he said, that this chef is like introducing them into it and like sort of like spreading the word. Like it's a good way to control it too.
Yeah, from what I know is they're offering money per rat you kill, like $6 I think. And yeah, then yeah, that chef is like, he's introducing it to like common food. Like he puts it in wraps too and tacos.
I think that's how you see in his video in the morning, right?
Yeah, it was just so he could convince the people to eat it, because
Because yeah, like if you see, I don't know, like you see this animal that looks like a giant rat, and you see a chicken, and of course a chicken is gonna look more appetizing than this giant rat. And then like if you make the food more appetizing and like flavorful for people, and like of course they're gonna go like, oh yeah, I might as well just try out this giant rat.
yeah, and it's a clean animal. Like it's not like if it's digging out food from trash cans like
or it's
you
prone
see
to carry
city
more
rats do.
diseases, too.
Yeah, it's in a wetland. It's not a dirty animal, so it's safe to eat.
Relatively clean too.
Yeah, just I mean, people don't really see like rodents as appetizing too. So
well, because rodents are also I mean one of the most common species of rodents would be rats and
house rat.
And well, people think about rats. It's like, oh, like, well,
I
don't know if most
dirty.
people see them that way, but yeah, rats. Like for example, rats carrying the plague, and yeah, it's just this.
It has
stigma.
a bad name. It has a bad stigma, I think.
Yeah,
right?
negative stigma.
Negative stigma to the word rodent. And if like we sort of change the mindset of people of that name, I'm like, of course we're gonna be more willing to try it out.
Well, from what I know is that since that state doesn't have like
Much regulation. Or?
it's more traditional to eat other animals also, because I know in some areas of the United States, some people even eat like alligators and stuff.
And then like if you see right here, if you tell somebody, oh, I think we should try alligator or something, like they'll have this like weird. I'm like what? I was like, why are you gonna eat an alligator when we have a chicken or something?
Or like a cow.
Well, that's like an alligator. It's the population is a lot smaller than, like compared to cows. Well, cows it's just mass produced. And chickens too, it's mass produced. Alligators and crocodiles, they're they're also an apex predator in their ecosystem. So it'll make a bigger change if you end up killing a crocodile than, for example, killing a cow. But I mean, if you're trying to eat a healthy cow, it's gonna be more expensive. But like, you could get a grass-fed cow, or so.
Well, from right now, also in a lot of those areas, they have farms specifically for that species. So like, they might have like an alligator farm or like a deer farm.
Well, in that situation, it's different, but like that's where also like it goes into like zoos. Well, like we just I don't know if Australia already got over that. If they resolved the situation of the land fire, but yeah, a lot of species have gone extinct, and many of their numbers have decreased. So like, that's why, like, there's, for example, zoos, yeah, like at the same time it's them experiencing just psychological disorder because they're locked up in a small area. But it's different in, like, for example, in elephants, they're the little ecosystem a zoo builds for them, it's big. And the thing is that elephants,
it's not big enough for them.
It's big.
And then they're more roaming animals.
No,
they tend to roam more.
It's big, but the thing is that it's not very common for them. It hasn't been recorded much where like they have experienced psychological effects, because they feel comfortable being around their family in big numbers and big groups, and they make just big they basically make playgrounds for them. And so yeah, they have their normal ecosystem in, like, sort of like a desert type of ecosystem, and you put them in big numbers, you make a playground for them. But yeah, like, that's when, like, for example, like in the situation of Australia, that's when you begin to slowly reintroduce those animals from the zoo. After a while, you reintroduce them to their original ecosystem. So,
is it because of the fire, or
huh?
Since like, let's say it's like the fire messed up the zoo or whatever it is, reintroduce them back into it, or
no. What I mean is that, like, that's why, like, zoos like, that's a very important function they have. It's that they reintroduce animals.
Well, in that case, not really much of a zoo. It's more like a animal sanctuary, because because a lot of animals get injured and they need to be rehabilitated, because some of them might have gotten burns. They might have broken an arm or something.
But I mean, if it's in a sanctuary, and in most cases, the sanctuary is a place where they save animals after natural hazards that happen in the world. How long is it going to take for that animal to be fully functional in order for you to reintroduce them? Whereas you have them in the zoo, and they try to mimic the same habitat they once had. So I mean, like, that's a good thing. And the problem is that there's countries where poaching gets out of control. It's like killing elephants for the tusk, or rhinos for their horns, where they basically grind their horns. There's a saying where, like, they grind their horns in order to
Also, supposedly it's like
to increase their libido.
It's
think, right?
it's like thought to be like an aphrodisiac too.
a what?
An aphrodisiac. And people think like it gives them like more
stamina.
Yeah, more power. It makes them powerful, like an elephant. But
and, some of them, like, of course, like, it's sometimes it's like a cultural thing. Like it's in their culture to have like I don't know an elephant tusk or something like that.
And then some people think like supposedly they might cure certain diseases like cancer. Like also, in some countries they think that that shark fin soup could cure cancer, but
And
they found sharks with tumors also.
That's bad how when they do that it's pretty sad because they basically cut the fin off of a shark, and what ends up happening is that in most cases the shark ends up sinking to the ground and just dying.
Well, I think what they need to do is that most fishing boats that like hunt sharks, they should be supervised also to make sure there's no animal cruelty going on.
Well, there's also that problem about fishing. Well, like you're fishing in big boats. There's many cases. Well, I mean, it's actually very common when they end up catching an animal they shouldn't catch, or an animal that they don't want to catch. So like,
I've also seen that like some people they just throw their nets inside the ocean, and some animals end up getting tangled in the nets, even though they're not supposed to be caught in those nets, and they end up dying because they can't move out of the net also.
But the thing is that like I mean, if you're trying to catch marine animals, it's just so much different species of marine life just roaming around in the sea that sometimes, I mean, that's very difficult to regulate. Like,
yeah.
So that's the end of this episode, and we talked about how the regulation of animal population could affect and also benefit the world in many different ways.
Yeah, and we also talked about how not all hunting is bad. There's also good things that could come from hunting animals.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Bye.